Hello there. This being God's Obedient Servant channel. If you're new to this channel, just saying it's a Bible study channel. As you can tell from the main picture, we study from the King James Version. So, go ahead and jump right on in here. We're going into Exodus chapter 21. We're going into some of the laws now. And when Jesus said it is finished, a lot of these laws, their judgments were voided with the way it's done. It's like it doesn't have to be done exact like this today. But some of the judgments, the rules still stand. So it's more along the lines of the moral ones versus the severe ones. But, we're going to go ahead and jump right on into this one. It's not too long of a chapter today. So let's go ahead and start in Exodus 21, verse 1. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. So we haven't gotten into it yet, but right now they don't even have the judges set. It's they kind of do. It's the ones that Moses put over the people, the ones over the tens, and then the hundreds, then the thousands. You can go back and watch that one if you want to find it. I can't remember exactly which chapter it's in, but these are the people that's kind of like put over because Moses is the main judge right now. He's the ruler of the Hebrews. God put him there. And for the time being, this is what God decides is who the judges are. Well, who the main judge will be, and then they decide who the other judges are. It's like here in America now we have an electoral system. Get the word out right. To assign our judges, so they're actually voted upon. And of course, in the Supreme Court, it's kind of voted upon, but without our say-so. It's our representatives that do all that. So, but anyways, So let's go ahead and continue on here in verse 2. Also here you're going to hear parts of the slavery that was allowed in those times. It's no longer allowed in America. Some parts of these are still allowed and expected. To give a brief example, let's hear verse 2. It says, if thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Which means he doesn't have to buy his freedom if you buy a Hebrew servant. Now, it's like a man and a woman, if they marry each other, that's a form of slavery. You're enslaving yourself to each other. But also, being a Christian, you enslave yourself to God. Here, these people are God's chosen people, so these laws are being put upon them for where they're born and where they live. Now, it's a choice. There's your difference, being under grace versus the law. But when you put yourself under grace, a lot of these rules and laws still apply, minus the punishments on some of these that we're going to go up to. So, as I said, becoming a Christian means you enslave yourself to the Lord. God's not against slavery. And there's a form of slavery in here that honestly should be allowed today. We'll get to that and you'll understand why here in a moment. So, let's continue on verse 3. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. Verse 4. If his master had given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. That one's no longer allowed. That would be one of those ones where it's like, No, that's his wife. Those are his children, type thing. But you know, we don't do the buying of people or nothing anymore. Anyways, not even in Israel do they do this that I know of. But they do follow Old Testament, literally religiously, supposed to. But you don't hear of them doing sacrifices to be forgiven sins or nothing anymore anyway. So it's like I don't really know if they're. It confuses me how they're sitting there saying they don't believe in Jesus, but also they don't follow the Bible fully now. They've come up with their own way to be forgiven sins, and the Bible never says that that's allowed. Anyways, so let's continue on to verse 5. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door, and unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So this one is if the, of course, as you read the other part, you know, if he can't take his wife and children with him, he can voluntarily stay with his master. There's another one in here. We haven't gotten to it yet, but it kind of falls under that. If a servant, this is the one I feel should be allowed today because we still have a lot of people, they just can't get their lives in order. They can't. They just don't get it. They don't get like paying their own bills and working for wages and doing a checkbook and balances and whatever just do. They can't just. They just some people just don't get it. And God says, like, if you find a servant that you find a master that you love that takes care of you better than you can yourself, you can voluntarily enslave yourself to him. And if the master accepts the servant, then the servant's pretty much his dependent. And the master now gives the servant purpose and takes care of him. Pretty much feeds him, clothes him, houses him. He don't have to worry about none of that stuff. He just does his job, lives his life, and he's provided for. Yay. For some people nowadays, this would help out dramatically because they just don't get it. They don't understand about, hey, you are responsible for yourself and you got to learn these things. And some people just don't get it. But so let's continue on. Yeah. Also, this is about the time where they're talking about piercing your ear is actually saying that you're enslaved to somebody. So you can take that with a grain of salt if you like having jewelry or something hanging from your ears. But yeah. Anyways, continue on, verse 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please, which pretty much she doesn't get released in the after the what was that? Darn it! Let's go back here. Okay, yeah, serve, and in the 7th he shall go. Yeah, 6 years and serve 7th. Oh, darn! I hit the button to go there. Anyway. So this is, I said, this for women. It's a different in this area. Verse 8. If she please not her master who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. So, if he buys the woman, and he can't just sell her. If he buys the woman to be his wife, he can't just sell her to anything or stuff. And if he's not happy with her no more, it's like he's not allowed to do that. So, verse 9. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. Now, I don't know the manner of daughters in this. Um, it possibly falls under how the man, to have a wife, he has to purchase the wife. He has to pay a dowry, which means he has to earn her. He does not get her freely. More than likely, that's what this meaning here. That even though he has purchased the woman and betrothed her for his son still has to earn her. He can't just be given freely. This is a thing that men still do today, where we're expected to earn the woman that's going to be in our life. We have a lot of messed up systems today in America, though, that you know they still expect all these rules of the men, but the woman's rules have changed a lot, and it's all messed up now. So, but yeah. If you live here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's continue on here, verse 10. And if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not be diminished. That's pretty self-explanatory. And if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. So if he takes another wife and treats the other wife badly, then the other wife can go free. She doesn't get any money for it, but she's allowed to go free and leave. So, yeah, continue on verse 12. Oh, yeah, so in these times, oh, darn it. I forgot what the word's called now. That's right, it's harems. Harems were allowed. One man, if he had enough money and stuff, he can have multiple wives. But not if he's to be a spiritual leader. He's allowed to only have one wife. But we haven't gotten to that yet. We'll see it. So, verse 12. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. So here's some of the different things where the judgments are and everything else is we're no longer under these type of laws. And I don't really know about the part with having a wife, because throughout the Bible it always clearly says that the wife is to submit and obey the husband. So it said, like, we don't deal with buying people or stuff like that no more. Slavery's been abolished here. Other countries it's still allowed. Africa it's still allowed. In parts of South America it still happens. Europe it's been abolished. China allows it. I don't know about other Asian nations. I don't think they do. Not that I know of, unless they're North Korea. North Korea allows it, slavery and stuff. So, but yeah. Anyways, so we're getting into some of these where it's like these had to be held and done regardless in these times. I said these are like some of the laws we're no longer under. That when Jesus died upon the cross and he said it is finished, where he finished the law, it's these are some of the laws that was it. Like like most of the rules still stand, but it said these are the laws where it's like you live here, you must obey this. Now it's pretty much you decide to become a Christian, you enslave yourself to God, and a lot of these rules still apply, but not all of the judgments do. But the morals, of course, always apply. So, anyways, continue on here, verse 13. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die. And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. So this is a harsh one. If a child, you know, attacks his parents, they didn't worry about juvie hall, this, that, and the other. They just killed them. They just killed that. That's like that child doesn't deserve to live. But also the parents had a lot of rules on them about having children. It's like, if they caught, where it's the parents could be put to death as well if they are harming the children. So, but I'm saying so. So some of these we might need back to nowadays because we got a lot of disrespectful people. And they just don't mind hurting other people, but oh good gracious, don't you dare hurt me. But I'm allowed to hurt you. It's kind of like that stupid stuff from Putin right now. It's like, I'm going to invade Ukraine, and anybody that harms my country, I'm going to attack you. I'm like, what? It's like, you're allowed to harm other people, but if anybody harms your people, hey, okay, I got a problem with that. Wrong, way wrong. Horrible man. Continue on, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So, going back to the slavery that was going on, that was in Europe, that migrated to America when America was being formed. Yeah, see, this would apply to a lot of the people doing those the slave trades back then. If they actually went to Africa and grabbed people themselves, they stole them and sold them. You know, it's not allowed. As God says, like, some people being sold into slavery, normally it's people that sold themselves, or volunteered themselves into that type of servitude. But yeah, you couldn't just go take people, which used to happen a lot, not too long ago, close to 200 years ago. Whew. Bad times. But anyways, verse 17. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. That's a harsh one there too. It's like, and not only that, you attack them physically. If you even just say bad things to them, you could be. That's taking that part, honor thy father and thy mother, to the extreme. But God means it. Like I said, this punishment doesn't really happen anymore. But I said God severely expects children to respect their parents. But also there's another part in there that says, fathers, do not bring your children to wrath, for you'll cause them to be discouraged. That's in the Bible as well. So it ain't just, hey, I'm a parent, I can do whatever I want to you, and you got to be good and obey and blah blah blah. Not necessarily. It's like, you're not allowed to be a mean parent either. So, anyways, continue on, verse 18. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. So we have lawsuits for stuff like this today. If somebody harms another person, they can't work anymore, somebody's got to pay for that person to be able to live. And that's what this is. Like, so it's not only that you got to pay your bills, you got to pay the other person's bills too. And anything that he may need to be healed or, take care of them. So here's that moral stuff. If you damage something to someone else's, God expects you to replace it, type thing. So we'll get into that. Yeah, verse 20. And if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. So here's the part that really just like showed it to be quite unfair. But normally, to smite a servant is being punished. And God says you can punish your servants if they're disobedient and stuff, but you can't punish them to the point that you kill them. You yourself will be punished, not really be put to death, but you will be punished for it. It said God does not believe in abuse at all. So, anyways, verse 21. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. So yeah, that one's not too good in my book. But this was a law back then, so if he died later, a couple of days later from his wounds or something, then yeah, it's he doesn't get punished for that. That's a little odd, but the Bible says what the Bible says. So normally it's like for you to be punished being a servant, it's God does not believe in disobedience. So a lot of these rules also God has for his own people about him. Like if God's rules are not being followed, you can be severely punished or put to death. But said like with being under grace now, a lot of these we're not under these anymore. A lot of these, the morals and the rules we are, but the punishments and stuff we're not. So, anyways, verse 22. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life. So here's the part where a lot of people like to misuse the Bible. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, stuff like that. Now this is only what happens after. So like if someone harms a woman, she loses her child she's pregnant with. Child hasn't been born yet, but loses the child she's pregnant with. And the husband, see, it's like, and be surely according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. So it looks like the husband gets to administer the punishment, and the judges determine the punishment and of what type of punishment he shall receive. And then after that, if the man's harmed or the person's harmed even more, then that's unjust. So then it's life for life. Verse 24: eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. That's a little bit of an odd one. But yeah, they did do a lot of the burning out eyes, or this, that, and the other of people as a punishment back then. So I can see that blinding somebody. That's harsh, especially way back then. Verse 27. And if he smite out his manservant's tooth or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. If an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. That means acquitted. That's what the word we use today would be, acquitted of it. But if the ox were wont to push with his horn in time past, and it hath been testified to his owner, and he hath not kept him in, but that he hath killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death. So this is not just under the ox rule. This follows anything like people with dangerous dogs. Like I have dogs and they love people and stuff like that. But like people that raise dogs to be very vicious and stuff like that and attack people. If you don't keep your animals put up and stuff, and your animal kills somebody, so not only does the animal supposed to be killed, but the person that knew the animal's dangerous and let it happen, they're supposed to be killed as well. A lot of us will probably agree with that rule still being in effect today. But we shall continue. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him. Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, we're still talking about the ox, according to his judgment shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant or maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. So pretty much they didn't put up with animals being mean. So, verse 33. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. So, you cause anything to come harm to someone else's animal, you're to make it right. But then the dead animal, now, you're supposed to give money for it, and then the dead animal belongs to the person that caused the death of it. I do believe, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, got 2 more. Getting close on time here, 27 minutes. Okay, so, verse 35. And if one man's ox hurt another's, that he die, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide. Or if it be known that the ox hath used to push in time past, and the owner hath not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own. So that means the person's, like if you're there, one man's ox hurts another man's ox, and that ox is known to be violent, then the man keeps his dead ox and plus gets money for the dead ox to replace him. So, anyways, you can see here the end of this study. I only got a minute or so left, so I hope you've enjoyed this. It's getting the next chapter 22 together. So, I said these are some of the laws. We're going through these laws and stuff now. Part of we haven't even went through Judges yet. There's a whole book on just that as well. But yeah, there's a lot of rules and regulations in the Bible, but there's a lot of morals and stuff. But as I said, being under grace, a lot of them don't apply to us no more. But a lot of them does. So I'm going to head and end this study here. Get this loaded up. So I hope everyone has a good blessed day or week until I get the next one loaded up. Until the next time, good night and goodbye.